This is Chapter 4, Foundation, of our house project in the Blue Ridge Mountains. In this chapter we will describe the footer excavation and installation, and the masonry block foundation. Since the foundation is the start of the house construction, we are required to have a building permit, and before we could obtain a building permit in our locality, we needed to acquire a health department permit for the well and septic system associated with the house. And before we could obtain a health department permit, we had to provide a site plan. Luckily my dad is pretty good at coming up with stuff like this. The health department required test pits to be excavated with backhoe to obtain information on the soil type for hydraulic conductivity, which is how fast can water travel through soil. The health department permit cost a whopping $725. I told Dad that he could save a lot of money and just go to the woods like I do. I love to laugh at my own jokes. Along with health department permit and house plans, there were numerous other items that were required to be submitted to obtain the building permit. The Virginia Department of Transportation also requires a permit for driveways that connect to a state highway. We forgot to mention this requirement in the previous Chapter 3, Earthmoving, of A House Tale. I'm already worn out, and we haven't even started building yet. With all our permits in hand, we hired a local backhoe operator to excavate the trenches for the footers. The local building code requires the bottom of footers to be a minimum of 18 inches below grade for frost protection. We thought this was not deep enough in our mountainous area location, lower winter temperatures, and used 24 inches as our minimum depth. Some places of excavation were close to 30 inches in depth. All excavation was performed to a depth to reach original undisturbed earth to eliminate settlement. And all footers received rebar reinforcement as per building code. The plans called for 16 inches wide by 8 inches deep concrete footers. The minimum width installed was 18 inches, due to the backhoe bucket being 18 inches wide. Rebar was driven vertically in the trench bottoms, with the tops set at a constant grade. Concrete was placed to the level of these rebars, to create a level footer, which helps the mason's job greatly when laying the first block course. All footers' depths exceeded the minimum of 8 inches. We ordered concrete for the footers and it really sunk in that we would have our hands full for at least another year. Once the footers were installed, we lined up a mason to lay the block foundation. Dad then ordered the block, mortar, and sand. I never seen sand before and found it was great to play in. Here's the finished foundation for the house, including the 3 piers for the porch. We wanted to make sure we had plenty of height to work in the crawl space, so we added several more rows of block. We also planned to install the well water storage tank in the crawl space, and wanted to make sure we had sufficient height. We had to think ahead and do a sketch on how the porch floor would intersect with the house finished floor. This allowed us to determine the elevation to set the porch piers. We applied 2 coats of Drylock waterproofing to the exterior of the block before we backfilled. It makes for a nice finish look. We also installed a short piece of 4-inch PVC pipe at a 2% slope at the bottom of the foundation wall that will connect to the future sanitary drain. The pressure-treated wooden sill plate that is shown along the top of the foundation wall is the first step to install the subfloor. Also, the crawl space access opening is shown. We tried to think ahead as much as possible. The lower right of this photo shows a small concrete pad. We had concrete remaining after placing the footers, thus we formed up and constructed the landing pad for the future porch stairs. Building a house is similar to a big chess game. You should keep thinking several steps ahead to minimize the schedule, cost, and avoid any redoings. I told Dad we should avoid jumping through hoops as much as possible. I see the deer do that all the time around here.